Hello and welcome to another edition of Market Briefing. I'm Martin Bakkerdax, European business editor here at the IB Times UK. Well, we are looking at stocks pulling back from multi-year highs around the world and particularly in Europe as we're seeing some political concerns set in and trumping a little bit of that economic optimism that drove markets into last week. The pullback really isn't a great surprise when you consider the fact that global stocks in the month of January have had their best start since 1994. Some of the major global indices rising a little bit more than 5%, and U.S. mutual funds attracting a record $77 billion in inflows for the 31-day period. So again, a pullback, not a drastic surprise. What's driving it in Europe, however, is a little bit troubling, and that is the political concerns that are developing in Spain and Italy. I'll talk about Spain first. The Prime Minister there, Mariano Rajoy, has been implicated in a payments scandal that is threatening the strength of his government, which of course is already under fire for the austerity measures it's plowing through the debt-laden Spanish economy. In Italy, the concern is slightly different, but nonetheless just as toxic. Former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi seems to be narrowing the lead on some of his opponents ahead of the parliamentary elections next month, and the reason why, he seems to be able to entangle them in the ongoing financial scandal around one of the oldest Italian lenders and one of the oldest banks in the world with respect to a brewing derivatives trade that threatens to lose, well, several $100 million for the bank, but also potentially drag in the head of the European Central Bank before all of this is through. Here in the UK, we're looking at a series of stories, most of them involving the banks. We had Chris Lucas, the former finance director of Barclays, step down over the weekend. He's going to retire, stay with the bank until there's a replacement found. But once again, it just reminds investors, or I should say, it puts the Barclays name again in the headlines with respect to investigations, not only concerning LIBOR manipulation, but also concerning maybe some improper fundraising that the bank had to execute back in 2008. We are also seeing George Osborne, the Chancellor, making a speech later today in Bournemouth in which he is said to, well, pretty much tell the banks that if they're not willing to comply to new rules about ring-fencing retail activities, he is going to get Parliament powers to break them up. We're going to watch all of those stories, of course, and more, so do check us out on the IB Times UK economy page, and we'll see you tomorrow.